Honorable Kennedy Agyapong is in the news. And for those of you who've been following the news, you know that the police has been thrown into it as well. Statements have been made by him on his radio station, Oman FM in Akan. And many are saying that that for them amounts to some form of destabilization. Indeed, he had been accused of calling for war. And the reports say that he actually said that he was calling for war. His lawyer, we are told, has also explained this, that it was a metaphorical statement. In the news items here are to be believed, that he says it was a metaphorical statement and that no such harm as is being attributed to Honorable Agyapong was meant by his client. We have Michael White-Kpesa, a doctor, that is getting into the fray and calling those comments as amounting to genocide and all, and taking us into a different dimension. Says it could actually be prosecuted by some international bodies. So we are asking the question about all this occurrence, all that is happening. Whichever way you look at it, this has all resulted from the biometric registration exercise as we head towards the general elections of 2012, that is this year. And so really, we are asking how we can deal with all of that, level things up and sober the atmosphere, whilst at the same time addressing the issue and seeing how we can put all where they ought to be. But of course, I know that you have your views on this matter ahead of the discussion. You can send them to 1760 by text across all mobile networks. It will cost you 30 pesos to do so. If you're on Facebook, facebook.com/multi-TV world is your address by which you can send us your views. In the studio with us tonight, on my immediate left, Honorable Atta Akyea is Member of Parliament in Buakwa South. He is a lawyer for Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. And it's good to have you in the studio. Thank you for coming, sir.
Pleasure.
From the far end of the table, Mr. Kisi Ejabeng is a lecturer at the Faculty of Law, University of Ghana. Thank you for coming as well.
Thank you.
Now, I think that it's always important in these matters to lay a foundation, and so that we can everybody can watch us, especially since we're streaming around the world live. Everybody can come along with us and flow with us. Mr. Akyea, what is the issue so far? What is happening? How did it begin? What has your client done? What is he said to have done? And where are we today?
Well, my client has said that there was a radio program, that is last Friday, a newspaper review of his own FM station, Oman FM, and he intervened by phone regarding what he perceived as the mayhem which this nation is about to be engulfed in by reason of the biometric registration. His focus was Odudu Diudio. And he's saying that what is happening to Odudu Diudio is not good for the nation, because it seems to him, and the evidence is having, that there are some thuggery going on, people who have the audacity of saying that you can't register here. They won't do what the law says they could do by their own agents picking the form of protest, so that the person will be registered, and then later on they settle the adjudication somewhere. And if it's proven that he was not supposed to register, not be registered.
Okay.
But if people could do that, who are not EC officials, but perceive political, thugs, and stop people, then where are we going with this nation? What is most embarrassing from his perspective is that we have the police pretending what is going on, as if the police are saying that if the problem is coming from these people, because there's official cover for what they are doing, you won't do anything about it. If you go on like that, that would be a recipe for a disaster and chaos. And he's saying that if somebody should even dress like a policeman when it's not one to come and cause mayhem, they should be beaten up. And if somebody attacks you, you should also attack him, because at the end of the day, where is the police and their role in this whole kind of situation? And he said, if these things do not, get corrected, you'll find that, well, then Ashanti should beat these people, and these people should also obey these people. So he explained to the police that in the context of what I said, and because of my own economic interest in Ghana, why should anybody say that I'm trying to declare war? And that when he said that I'm declaring war, doesn't mean that I'm saying that I want Ghana to start any kind of war situation, or I'm trying to get some people to come and attack Ghana. This is not what I meant. I was speaking in the sense that rise up to the occasion and stop this mayhem. But if the police won't stop the mayhem, then I declare war that this lawlessness should stop. If somebody should attack you, then attack the person. So the police said, is that all? He said, well, that is all. So they requested for the tape. And they permitted him because we had to put off our phones. And then they called the station that bring the tape. And I think they took the tape. I think they were minded to admit him to bail after the explanation. And Honorable Hammond, E.T. Hammond, said...
Katie
Hammond said is going to be the surety. So heavy traffic, the police were very professional. I said, cool. I mean, look, my Honorable Hammond, come and sit in a police vehicle. Let's use the, what's it called?
The siren?
The siren, and get to the place. And we look at your house. They came back, everything was fine. Okay, wait for us. Am I a good man? 8 o'clock. We were there at 11. 8 o'clock.
So 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
And that's at 8 p.m.
As at 8 p.m., there was this kind of anxiety, and I mean, crowds were milling up at the front of the police headquarters and all that. Eventually, a whole armor car was brought in, and this routing, what's it called, vehicles to combat routing. So I said, what is this standoff about? Because if you want to just lock up an MP, you don't need any standoff. All that there is to it that you can put him in a taxi and take him back door and go and lock him up. But an atmosphere was created, and I didn't understand. Tear gas. I have to confess, I'm not trying to be emotional. Some entered into my eyes. And I learned folks were also behind the police headquarters throwing stones, and later on they were dispersed. The guy was pushed into the, what's it called? The, what was that?
Armored vehicle.
Armored vehicle.
The vehicle, okay.
And taken to the BNI headquarters. And I learned he slept overnight, and this afternoon his house was searched. They didn't find anything serious there. And after things being called, they'll put him before a court of competent jurisdiction and read the charges against him, and we do our work as lawyers.
Okay, so the charge of treason has been actually preferred against...
This is what I hear.
You hear, you have not spoken to him?
I've not spoken to him. In fact, we're trying to get access to him, but we were not successful.
Why?
It was like, wait, let's get clearance, and then it was getting too late for us. And some folks too were being arraigned before a court of law for routing.
Okay.
So we need to also get out of the police quarters, go to Kokwa Affairs Circuit Court, and plead with the judge that is a misdemeanor, and therefore the people should be admitted to bail. Mercifully.
You are talking about the misdemeanor is the rioting?
The rioting.
Okay.
So they were admitted to bail, and then that's all that's happened.
Okay. Mr. Kissie Agyapong, let me bring you into it. So now that we have, basically, as Atacha says, he has heard that the charges are of treason against him. We know that there have been quite some discussions on this topic, but we really need to come to terms with it. What are we talking about when we make reference to treason? And I know there's also mention of high treason. Really, what are these new things?
You see, there are several forms of treasonable offenses in Ghana, and we need to be clear what we're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's treason itself, and then there's high treason, and then there's misprision of treason, and then there's treason felony. 4 of them. It depends on what you do.
Okay.
If he's been charged with treason, then we are going to Article 1917 of the Constitution, which defines what treason is. It looks at either levying war against the Republic of Ghana or seeking to overthrow the government of Ghana by force or with violence or allied means. So if you permit me to read, it says treason shall consist only.
Yes.
Only.
Yes.
It is very specific.
Specific.
A, in levying war against Ghana or assisting any state or person or inciting or conspiring with any person to levy war against Ghana.
Okay.
Or B, in attempting by force of arms or other violent means to overthrow the organs of government established by or under this Constitution. Or C, in taking part or being concerned in or inciting or conspiring with any person to make or take part or be concerned in any such attempt.
Okay.
So the parameters are clear.
Yeah, clear. Only 3.
Levying war against Ghana or seeking to overthrow the arms of government.
Or there's also inciting and conspiring.
Yes, that refers to the first two.
Right.
Inciting or being concerned it refers to the first two. Okay. So it is mainly either you are levying war against Ghana or you are assisting a person or a state to levy war against Ghana, or you are attempting to overthrow the government of Ghana.
So the denominator, the common running denominator is war against Ghana.
War against the Republic of Ghana.
Absolutely.
And then there is high treason.
Okay.
High treason looks to the constitution, as in if you are attempting to abrogate the constitution. That is what high treason refers to. That is found in section 180 of Act 29 and then Article 33 of the Constitution.
Right.
Any person who by himself or in concert with others by any violent or other unlawful means suspends or overthrows or abrogates this constitution or any part of it, or attempts to do any such act, or aids and abets in any manner any person referred to in paragraph A of this clause, commits the offense of high treason and shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to suffer death. That is high treason. So you are aiming at the constitution. So with treason, you are aiming at the government, the arms of government, that's the legislature, the executive, or the judiciary, or you are levying war against Ghana. Then there are the lesser offenses, although they are first-degree felonies, misprision of treason. That is, you have information as to a plot in respect of someone attempting to or plotting to commit treason, and you don't reveal it to either the president or a policeman not below the rank of an inspector.
Right.
And then finally, treason felony, which is you either prepare or endeavor to procure by an unlawful means an alteration in the policies or policies of the government or laws of the republic. Okay. So we should be clear what we are talking about. Right. If he is being charged with treason, then he is going under Article 1917. You are levying war against the Republic of Ghana, or you are seeking to overthrow the arms of government by force or other violent means.
Interesting foundation that we've laid. On the phone right now, we have Dr. Kojo Opoku-Edu, Research Fellow, Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana. Good evening to you, Doc.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us on this matter. Basically, we are basically discussing what's happening. With Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. What is your own understanding of what is going on, and what do you make of it?
Well, first of all, I think we need to put the whole thing in context. We are in a period of intensified political campaign. And normally during that period, some politicians have the tendency to exaggerate in order to win public support. And I think that the man, Kennedy Agyapong, out of frustration, did exaggerate, because I don't think he has the capacity to carry out that kind of subversion of the sovereign authority of Ghana. So I see it as part and parcel of an intensified political campaign in an impending election in which the two main political parties are neck and neck, and so it is one of the things that normally happens during intensified political campaigns.
Interesting. So what do you say of all the reactions that have resulted therefrom, from the police itself, from the media, from Ghanaians in general?
Yeah, I think the police somehow use excessive, police powers to do that. In the first place, the man is a public figure. He is well known. He's been making statements all along. So if indeed he has plans to subvert the sovereign authority of Ghana, which would require a certain level of conspiracy, concealment, and planning, I think the intelligence community in Ghana, the BNI, the CID, the military intelligence, the entire intelligence community in Ghana would have taken signals in the past. If they fail to do that, then they failed in their job to really do the right intelligence and defend the people of this country. Now, if that was the case, then as soon as they arrested him, they ought to have had some evidence already to take him to court immediately. But what happened was that they don't seem to have had any previous knowledge of any attempt at conspiracy to commit subversion and then concealment of subversion. You know, it looks as if this statement by him, which statement has been described even by his own party as intemperate, you know, that speech led to a conclusion that he was planning a treasonable offense, which carries the minimum, you know, punishment of death. So I think that there was, so far, from the side of the police, some excessive application of police powers. And I think the man made those statements out of frustration, and he did so without actually having the wherewithal to carry out such a threat.
Are you suggesting to me that the police acted wrongly?
Not wrongly, but you see, they did not arrest him. They invited him, and the man on his own went to the police station. That case a very different scenario. He went in there with his lawyers and showed every indication of preparedness to cooperate with the police in their investigations. So it's not as if the man was sought for. The man had bolted and then they arrested him. Now, according to the report that we have, somewhere around 1 o'clock, the police had finished with the investigations and they were on the verge of granting him bail. And then, as they put it, something came from the top. What about that top means, I don't know. And then they decided to keep him. Now they're moving away from the police headquarters to the BNI. He stays overnight. The next morning he was given drugs because the man is not well, I hear. And then even at the end of the second day, he's not giving the bail. He goes to spend another night. And then the next day he's been processed to be taken to court. You see, the rule of law does not only mean supremacy of the law. It does mean the supremacy of the law. It does also mean equality before the law. All people who have done what this man has done, and there are many of them, should be given the same treatment. But there's even a third meaning to the rule of law, which is very important, and that is the fundamental human rights, the basic rights which people are enjoying, not because any constitution wants us to enjoy them, not because any government wants us to enjoy them. We enjoy them by virtue of the fact that we are human beings, and we are endowed by those by God. God gives those rights to people. So the law is supreme. If one offends it, it must take its course objectively. But people should also appear before the law to be equal, and we should not forget about the fundamental rights of people. And I think that to some extent his rights have been trampled upon because the man cooperated fully with the police. He walked into the police headquarters with his lawyers when he was invited. And I think that there ought to be no reason to believe that if they granted him bail, he will escape or he will go and carry out his threat. In the first place, I don't think the police, the CID, the Bureau of National Investigations, the military intelligence, any of these have the slightest, the minutest of evidence to show that the man was planning any certain. So I think there was, to some extent, excessive use of police force.
Doc, I think that we should leave it there. Thank you very much for your comments here and also for taking us back to 1885
yeah, thank you too.
And teaching us the tenets of A.V. Dice's rule of law and what it stands for. We enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll come back to the studio. But of course, I have to remind you viewers, 1760-1760 is a text line. If you have any view on the matter, it will cost you 30 pesos to send a text message. If you're on Facebook, it's facebook.com/multi-TV-world. Honorable Atachian, I realized as Doc spoke, you were nodding in agreement with almost everything he had to say. It looks as if he would do a very fantastic job joining your team.
Well,
what do you make of his submissions? Basically that it was an invitation, that he went there of his own accord and all of that. But really, some will also say that the police are basically doing their work. And even if they were not ready to prefer a charge against him on Friday, it doesn't mean that they should wait before they invite him, which he actually responded to and all of that and went there. Perhaps, as you say, what you were surprised by was the number of hours where everything seemed to be going smoothly and all of a sudden there was a freeze. Is this spending, first and foremost, is this spending the night in the BNI custody tonight as well?
Certainly.
He is.
Yes.
That's happening.
You see, the reason why I was nodding
Yes.
was that I think he's looking at things from the context. You see, intemperate language, yes. Hot language, yes. I always want to do a comparison. There's a very powerful political figure in the realm, former President Rawlings. Have you heard President Rawlings articulating a very simple position? His gestures, the passion, the electricity. Compare him with our president, the former company law lecturer, cool, collected, and sometimes people say very humble. So when you don't understand context and the persona at the center of the drama, if you like, you might think that somebody wants to bring heaven down. President Rawlings?
But if I may,
Yeah.
irrespective of persona, irrespective of tone,
Yes.
which is what you're alluding to,
Yes.
the content
Yes.
of the context
Yes.
also matters.
It does.
Doesn't it?
And that is when what we are doing is a storm in a teacup. You see, if you look at the content in the context, it is a man waking the consciousness of the police that, are you about your duties? Would you want to superintend thuggery in just a mere biometric registration? And if the police won't do anything, who should stand by for another human being, another Ghanaian, to come and mess him up, probably, destroy his whole persona? Who will do that? So if we do not rise up to the occasion, what we are talking about is that people should define themselves. So in that context, I do not think that anything approximates to an overthrow of this system. No, I do not think that. One of the things that he said, which I found a bit wayward, but still in the context could be looked at as he was carried away by his emotions. Oh, if you wouldn't want to arrest this situation in which people can take the law into their own hands, then if somebody enters your shop, you have to sort him out. And if Ashantis should be beating these people, it's all in the context of lawlessness.
But you find that inappropriate.
I think it was a bit wayward. I wouldn't use such comparisons. But that is how passionate that individual is. When there's a little problem with NDC, just see how the former president talks. So people are different. You know, I was telling one of your presenters that, look, in the finis of your job, you are so controlled. But if you were in the political arena and you saw, let me give you a scenario which might help. You see, I am the member of parliament for Akim Abuakwa South. Right. I'm not a special person. But at least people accommodate me because of the fact that, oh, this is attached a member of parliament. They show me a modicum of respect and I return it. Atiwa, they gave me 3 polling stations to supervise. So here am I, I've bought sardines and kenke to give to the police who have been standing there. When I got there, the police told me that Ata ran away because the Soka boys are looking for you. How could the police say that the lawless people are looking for a member of parliament and now to run away and they will not be arrested? And I brought this before the appointment committee when the current Minister of Interior was around. Why should the police pretend lawlessness? If it doesn't matter, then what you are saying is that defend yourself. So I'm afraid the man was frustrated. The lecturer is, the young man who just spoke is very right.
Dr. Edu.
Is very right. The language is not as decent as people expected. But in the context, and if you look at his heartbeat, he was not calling for war.
I will take a quick commercial break at this stage. And when I come back, I'm afraid Kisi will not just be lecturing us or giving us tutorial sessions. I also like to pick your own thoughts on the comments. I'm sure you've heard them for yourself, and where you fix all of this and whether it really falls on all fours with the charges that are being preferred against him, as we have been told by his lawyer. If you just joined us, you are basically looking at the rule of law in Ghana and asking whether it is working relative to what is happening with Honorable Kennedy Agyapong, and also find out whether things are being handled properly. But let me come back to you, Mr. Agyapong, and find out from you. What do you make of what you heard? And is that the charge that you would teach a future prosecutor to bring against the honorable member in such a situation?
I was hoping you won't put me on the spot because this afternoon, incidentally, we were discussing treason in the class, and my students wanted to know my personal view. But my style is I don't impose it on them, so I leave it to them to decide.
Don't impose it on me, but tell me what they say.
Right. I listened to the Honorable Member of Parliament. I wouldn't use such language.
Right.
That's my view on it. And several aspects of it were unfortunate. But treason, certainly no. See, if we go back to the definition of treason, and now my students know my view, under Article 1917.
Sure.
You are levying war against Ghana, or assisting any state or person, or inciting or conspiring with any person to levy war against Ghana.
Right.
Let's take that. What does it mean to levy war against your country? You are amassing arms and weapons to attack your own country, or assisting another state to attack your own country, or another person to attack your own country. That statement on the radio, in fairness to everybody who has a legal mind, is that levying war against Ghana? We need to be serious. Attempting by force of arms or other violence means to overthrow the organs of government established by or under this constitution. The other one. With that statement, was he attempting by force or arms to overthrow the executive, the legislature, or the judiciary? Give me a break. C, in taking part or being concerned in or inciting or conspiring with any other person to make or take part or be concerned in any of those attempts, the first or the second. Is that what he was doing? Look, sitting here, if you ask me, and he knows, there are several offenses. If you ask me, I can
Well,
charge.
that was my next question. But you see, that's the problem with interviewing lawyers.
I don't want to.
They know where I'm
going. I'm not going to do the work of the Attorney General.
That was my next question.
I'm not going to
really
do the work of the police. I'm not going to sit in the studio and suggest that charge him with this offense or charge him with
right.
There are countless number of
that was
offenses
my next question to you,
a person may charge him with. But I'm not going to suggest it. I'm not the Attorney General. But if this is what they indicated, that it is treason, once again, they will lose. They will lose. If they go on the trail of high treason, it will not even arise at all, because that is looking at abrogating the Constitution. As I said, it's unfortunate what he said. And taken out of context, it can be overblown. And as I said earlier, I won't use such language. But he wanted my opinion on it.
Yes.
Charge of treason, from what he said on radio, from what I listened to, unless I listen to the wrong thing, it will be unfounded.
It will be unfounded. Let me take some text messages at this stage, and then I'll move over to Honorable Atachia. Abuaji Noel Samuel says, what is rule of law? Law that deals with only an opposition MPP? God save us. Osei Kofi, say it again at Abuaji. Okay, right. Osei Kofi can see Abuaji's comment, because these ones are coming from Facebook. He says, I believe at a males, NDC, CID, NDC police, and NDC government can give the correct answer. Kwame Apaubuedi says, clearly, we are in the animal farm where all men are equal, but some are more equal than others. Al-Hassan Isahak Imabia says, Honorable Kennedy Ejepon must realize, must be released, you mean? Okay, must be released. Or Neelante van der Poy too must be arrested, because he's the cause of everything, and the laws of the country must not be acting one-sided, because where there is a problem, we have to be careful to take a look at where it starts from before we get to the tail end of it for the betterment of all. And I am not suppressing. Sometimes you have to help us with some of the words you use, but you basically are saying that you're not saying that all these things are happening in the face of Professor Mills. Oh, okay, in the face, you mean, right? And that it seems to you that he's not in charge. Alas, and I get your point. You're surprised that the president is around, he sees all these things happening, and that he's not taking control. Nana Kweku Zigi, he says it is rather the rule of vindictiveness. All right. Emba Chinedu says, in my view, I may say that the disagreement as to whether rule of law as contained in the Constitution, things should be done in accordance with the law. I'll come back to the text messages. I think that sometimes you have to put a pen through these.
Robert, I was going to say something.
Yes.
This is my hunch. And last time I appeared here, I also said something. Yesterday till now, I suspect the authorities were forum shopping for an offense to charge him with.
Right.
And my learned senior here says it took hours that's my hunch, that they were forum shopping once again for an offense to charge him with. And now if he's been charged with treason, I suspect that someone wants him to spend the next few months in cells, because treason is one of the offenses which, unfortunately, under 96(7) of Act 30 is unbailable. That's another topic for discussion.
But it's a very important topic, because that's something we also have to do.
Sure. So if, and I keep saying it, that it's one of the most dangerous provisions on our criminal procedure jurisprudence. Robert, if I'm in power and I don't like you, all I need to do is to charge you with an offense.
An offense that perhaps does not apply.
Yes.
But however,
I don't need to show when I'm charging you.
I see your point.
I don't need to show when I'm charging you the evidence I have against you.
Okay.
All I need to do is to charge you without offense. Take you to court and say that I've charged you with, for instance, piracy, or I've charged you with murder, or I've charged you with treason, or I've even charged you with defilement or rape. These are all some of the offenses. And then throw you in jail and wait you out till the duration of the trial. So that's what I suspect. Someone doesn't want him to go home. Someone wants him to spend the next few months in cells. Because if you go to court tomorrow to challenge why he's still being kept, you will be told, haven't you seen 96(7) of Act 30, which says an offense like that is unbailable? It's a very dangerous provision.
Well, let's bring Honorable Atacha.
Yeah, let me try to. I share what he's saying.
Right.
Well, that was what I wanted to say. You see, the law is not an ass,
Right.
so far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And if you have due regard to the Section 96 of Act 30
Yes.
regarding bail,
Yes.
in determining whether to grant bail, the whole case should be looked at.
That's right.
And if it is found that the facts read do not support the charge, I tell you, the judiciary is not the conveyor belt of the prosecution or the Attorney General's office. So it is not that anything you say is not bailable that you expect the judge to swallow hook, line, and sinker.
And we have case law on this.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So if they come out with something which at the end of the day you could see that, oh, there are elementary flaws, and no judge who is, well versed in the law will rubber stamp this kind of thing, I'm afraid the person should be admitted to bail. But I think, and I thank God, that here is somebody who is a teacher of the law,
Yes.
trying to educate the whole world about certain motives.
Yes.
Because he's not just a classroom person. He has a lot of common sense. And the danger is for so-called perceived political opponents to be given raw deals by the Office of the Attorney
And he's a
General.
practitioner too.
And I'm afraid I don't see why we should try and stretch our thinking to some limits to try and punish another person. If this is the motive, it is still born. It's not going to go far. Because at the end of the day, you should look at it from the perspective of the law.
But we also have those they call the doctrinaire approach judges. And they do exist.
They do.
You have practiced for a very long time.
Yes.
You know they are there.
Yes.
There are those judges who look at the rigid writing of the law. And circumstances and all those questions are not things that really reflect on their minds and their thinking. And say that, well, at the end of the day, if it so turns out what Honorable Atacha is saying, we will do it. But for now, I can see non-bail for this. And so I can't give you the bill and stay there. There are people like that. There are judges like that all the time.
It is true.
They do these things.
And it's very unfortunate.
That is where the danger is.
It's very unfortunate. And we thank God that if judges should make mistakes or they are the Pharisees of the law, they read the letter only, I will be tempted to go to the higher ups to also look at it again. That's the beauty of the due process. That if somebody tells you that, he won't give you what you are looking for, you can appeal. But it is a needless worry. The energies of this republic should not be detained and deployed in this manner. I'm tempted to believe that when the professional police officers met us and the gentleman explained what he meant, I think a warning. Now look, you're getting wayward with your language. Go and sin no more. Because the next time you go on this way, you come back here maybe with something else.
What about all the possible other charges? Even if treason is not the proper charge, what about the other possible charges that exist? Because really, nothing prevents the Attorney General's Department
Most of them are misdemeanors. Most of them
Yeah,
are misdemeanors. They are misdemeanors, and they are not, misdemeanors are not interesting as far
They are
as
not
this,
interesting.
they are not interesting.
You see, so what is going on from every perspective is that I am tempted to come to a conclusion. There's a strong political motive behind what is going on. I have to be very honest with you, because if you listen to Ken Ohene-Agyapong with the professional police officers in the room, I tell you the truth, there is no way that anybody should charge the man. The only thing which is very, very important that I keep stressing, I condemn any form of violence, whether it's verbal violence or the actual, conduct of violence.
Does that include what your client said?
Well,
do you condemn that?
Well, I will situate it in the context and say, like, I don't talk the way he talks. And I will tell him right to his face that please learn to tone down on what you believe is the truth. I will not take the truth of what he said from him, but I'm a bit measured in the way I will present what I believe is the case. So that gentleman should also learn how to come across with his views, and it will help him. I'm not saying that sometimes people shouldn't, come out as strong as he is, but you should remember, in a very, very interesting environment, and also we are in an environment of propaganda. I don't want people to lose focus of this. In the environment of propaganda, a dot can be over-multiplied to mean so many things, and that is also something that we should all watch out. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that the underpinnings of what is going on is coming clearly. And tomorrow, if they say that this is treason, then probably they wish that somebody will say, well, it's not bailable. Maybe the whole election you spend it there. Because before they empanel the 3 High Court judges to sit on the matter for the case to proceed, maybe we get into the end of the elections and one member of parliament is caged until, his acquittal is determined or a submission of no case is made, and that can take sometime maybe 3 years.
He said, do you also see a political hand in all of this? Because you talk about misdemeanors not being interesting. But of course, from where the charges are coming from, these are people who are also educated in the law and can also see the charges that apply. You said that you suspect that it is treason because of all the possibilities that may result therefrom. And of course, Atacha is saying similarly that he thinks that there's a political thing in there. December is so close, we can frustrate it and all of that. Do you see such political hand overriding the learning of the law, which is what must be applied in such a situation?
I refrain from making statements that have political undertones. And I always try to speak from a lecturer's point of view. I wouldn't say political. I would say that someone is trying to be mischievous.
Someone?
Whoever has charged him with this offense is trying to be mischievous, because seriously, I don't believe that the person does not know that this will not fly. So if you charge him with this offense, as I said earlier, the only reason why I can see he's been charged with this offense, much like what I said in the Ajima Bempa case, is that someone doesn't want him to go home. Now, charge him with this offense, persuade the judge that it is a non-bailable offense, keep him in the cooler as long as it takes. If that is political, then that is it. But that is the hand that I see. As someone is trying to prevent this gentleman from going home soon.
What about a search on his house?
Well, the police have the power of search if they thought that by going to his house they could find some incriminating evidence. That was their discretion. I don't think there was.
It seems to be standard procedure in Ghana anyway. Most of
I don't think there's some untoward aspect to that. But if they found nothing in his house that was interesting to them, let me use the word again, then that's also up to them. Okay. But then the fundamental charge with which we are hearing that has been leveled against him is my concern. I stand to be corrected, but I need to be convinced that what I heard this man say on radio amounts once again to levying war against Ghana or attempting to overthrow the executive, the legislature, or the judiciary.
Let's bring this in. It's reported today is the 17th. That's right. So it's from Mind Your Online. I'm sorry, my friend Michael Pesa-White is not here. Maybe we can call him. I don't know. But this is attributed to him, and I want us to deal with it. Because it says that a political analyst, and I'm reading, says comments by the Asin North Member of Parliament, Kennedy Agyapong, are not only treasonable, but genocidal. Dr. Michael Pesa-White said that the comments could land Mr. Agyapong at the International Court of Justice for prosecution. He's quoted as saying, I think that the comments were genocidal in many ways, unquote. And he cited the International Convention on Genocide. It goes on to say he was speaking on the arrest of MPOK, which we have been discussing and all of that. And then there's a reaction from his lawyer, who's right here with us, who says that this is metaphorical, a word attributed to him. Let me come to you.
I know Michael Kpesia White very well.
Right.
He was my mate at Legon.
Sure.
But what did you describe him as?
Where?
What did you describe him as?
The article calls him a political analyst.
Michael Kpesia White, if you are listening and watching, I'm very sorry. That my only response is that's a political analyst point of view. That's all.
It is not a legal position.
At all.
I'm afraid sometimes, I have said it before, it's not even what is said which might cause trouble, but the skewed, parochial, and sometimes ill-motivated interpretations people want to put on this. For Christ's sake, it's National Court of Justice. It's when they've really messed up the system. I mean, the Tutsis against the Hutus, and you have a kingpin behind it, and there's mass murders. This does not approximate to, what to engage the attention on International Court of Justice. But let me tell you what is very sad for me. If people are not careful about the way they are going about things, it's like they are rather going to use their commentaries and their propaganda to do what my client is trying to prevent from happening. You see, because I want you to listen to the heartbeat of the guy. Listen to it. Waywardness, yes. Not everybody has your finis. I know some very prominent people in this country, when they are talking, you begin to wonder, why is this man not so contained and balanced in his presentation? Temperament, way of life, poise, demeanor of the president and all that. But I'm afraid if people begin to paint a picture, and what the gentleman said is the ground for others to do something, and probably these people, did you hear what he said against you? Are you going to sit down for these guys to lynch you and all that? And it is not what he said which is going to cause any problem, but the propaganda, which is rather vile, that people want to put on this stage.
A lot of messages coming in, and I'll go back to Kisi for the point on the genocide bit. But let's take a few messages we can. This one says his name is Ata Achia Mensa. And he says that it serves Ken right. He can do nothing to stop him. He will go to jail. Okay, that's you. The next one says, Achia, tell your client that I won't read this for good reason, because I think that the presenter's discretion is also important, because I don't want to really get into all these battles and posturing for fights and all of those things. So I think it's also my duty not to read some of these ones. Obi from Pandai in Northern Region. Is Pandai in the Northern Region? Is it not supposed to? Okay, all right. It says Pandai NR. I don't know what NR stands for here. It says, if Honorable Ken really called for war, what is the effect? Can a non-king call for war, and will it be obeyed by Akans? Okay, all right. This one says the NPP is not learning from history. Buzia said the commercial bank in Bolga is for granules, and Victor Usu said the West are inward looking. You don't add your name to your text message. Frank in your name says that the people of Ghana will know the true character of our president if they read the book Money Galore. Okay, all right. Kweku Jalal Adam, it says it's so unfortunate. The ever-blazing, outspoken, fearless Kennedy Japon has been silent on an issue which concerns him personally. They should tell us that we are nothing. Next one is from George Arthur. He says, yes, indeed, he must face the law. Thomas Watson Latte, is this how we want democracy to go? Is this how we want our freedom of speech to go? Freedom of speech doesn't mean going about and saying whatever that comes out of your stomach, even to the extent of calling your president a thief, causing fear and panic, and declaring war. Let's cast our eyes to the USA. Let's one point the last time Obama was insulted on air.
It's always insulted.
And then it says...
insulted on a daily basis.
Okay, all right. And then it moves on to something else. Kosi Diatipo, I didn't get the rest of your message though. This one says, Ken's comment was needless because it could have caused a tribal war, but I guess that treason is too much of a charge. And then it says, the lawyers are saying that it's actually a wrong charge, not too much. Lawrence Donko, rule of law is all that Ghanaians need to promote peace. All right, thank you. The next message, if we can get to it quickly. And then, of course, all right. Let's move to some other ones here. Amankwa Joseph says, please, what's the essence of democracy? We were in this country when Baba Jamal declared jihad in Akwetia. What happened to him? Ray Atro says, what's wrong with declaring war on violence? Why is the police worried about Ken's statement whilst Ni Lante Van der Poy is actually terrorizing people? And that's not the name you called him. You called him a very insulting name, which I won't read. Daniel Kwekwabeku, Akufo-Addo must also be arrested for his all die be die speech. I support the police. Nana Kweku Ziggy, NDC should know that no condition is permanent. The tables can turn. Johan Carl, he says his comments can plunge the country into chaos, and I entreat every discerning individual to condemn it, whether he's NPP or NDC. Kwame Apao-Buedu says that the hypocrisy in our country is too much. The president must not forget that what is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. If really we are going by this, then people like Baba Jamal, Isiedun Ketia, Anita, and our president should be arrested for certain utterances they made some time ago. Selom Moji for Isaac. Kennedy thought that he can cause reasonable Ghanaians to kill ourselves by declaring war. Let him face the full rigors of the law. Long live Ghana. Access denied. That's your name. He says that we should let Ken dance to the tune because of his loud mouth. Yabo Across Emmanuel says Ken speaks a lot but is harmless. He must be advised rather than the protest by many Ghanaians. Jonathan Datson, people of these kinds should be dealt with. Do you remember what happened in Rwanda? It was these kinds of statements which generated tribal war. He should be punished as the law says. Okay, that's a different dimension as well, as the law says, and our discussion here is centering on that. Simon Kwekuku figure, effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. That's Peter Drucker you quote, and you're saying that Peter Drucker might be right, but in 2012 general elections in Ghana, most of the electorates will be doing otherwise, looking at personalities who can help keep the peace of the country it has been enjoying is what is important. Good evening to you as well. Let's hold on with the test messages. I think I'll come back to it. It's difficult to deal with all of them at once. But you, Kisi, there was this issue about what we read from Michael Kwesa White about genocidal, the statement being genocidal and all. Really, what's the legal position on that?
We have our own say on what genocide is under Section 49, capital A of Act 29. And if you permit me, I could go to it. Once again, it's a capital offense. A person commits genocide where, with intent to destroy in whole or in part any national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, that person, we listen carefully, kills members of the group, causes serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicts on the group conditions of life calculated to bring its physical destruction in whole or in part, imposes measures intended to prevent births within the group, forcibly transfers children of the group to another group. See, the focus of this offense is on the scale at which it is carried out. Of course, let me make this point. The accessorial liability and attempting to cause any of these are also punishable. Yes, but then you're focusing on trying to affect the religious or ethnic or cultural identity of a group of people. That is the focus of the offense of genocide. If you see, I know people are saying this because of what happened in Rwanda. For instance, this lady goes on radio and was like, go and kill the cockroaches, do this, do this. But is it really what Kennedy Japan was doing? We should ask ourselves. Was he calling people out there to go kill people?
We've heard people saying that is what he was saying. Haven't
I heard him.
We've heard those comments.
I heard him talk. I heard him talk on the radio. I've listened to the playback. Was he asking people to go kill people? I stand to be corrected. I mean, to all of us, to the whole nation. Was he inciting people? Go kill this person. Go kill this person. Go kill this person. I thought, and I'm not holding brief for him here. I've never met the gentleman before. You see, I get worried from a lecturer's view when the law is being applied and put across the way it is being done now. If a person says that this is what is going on, some groups of people have been left undefended, while the others are probably being goaded on by authorities to carry on these unwarranted attacks. If they do that to you, repel it or defend yourself. Is that a call to genocide?
And you're saying that it is not?
I don't think so.
Honorable Atachia.
Yes, sir.
What is the position of the NPP on this? because Honorable Kenneth Agyapong is a member of the party. You are a member of the party. The party is a major participant in the election of 2012 and the biometric exercise which you are doing towards all of that. Where does the NPP stand?
Well, the stand of the NPP is very simple. The NPP believes in the rule of law. At the last elections, very close elections, they handed over power to the NDC, which is the clearest announcement that they respect the rule of law. Let the majority carry the vote. The NPP does not endorse genocide. The NPP does not endorse electoral violence. The NPP does not endorse inflammatory statements. And I think the chairman has come out with these things. But the chairman did not speak out of context. The chairman is saying that they won't say people should go and kill others, but the police should be up and about their duties. There shouldn't be officialdom trying to make the police impotent, because some people are afraid of their daily bread. No matter how exalted you think he is, he doesn't want to be sacked. They should leave the police to do their work and let the police be about their duties. But I'm afraid the NPP didn't tell people what to do when they are being attacked. Even when you attack a poor man, you don't need NPP to tell you that he has a right to self-defense. It's ingrained in everybody. Some people were carrying guns, and they went to do robbery. After they've taken the goods of the people, they said they will sleep with the women in the room. Some men said, no, kill me now. You've taken my goods. You want to sleep with my wife? It's inborn. To defend yourself is inborn. But why should people defend themselves? When we have a sitting, law enforcement, people paid by the taxpayer to ensure that we don't have this kind of self-help going on. So let's put it in context. We condemn anything which will disturb the peace we are enjoying. Where will President Akufo-Addo be if Ghana is in mayhem? If Akufo-Addo wants to be president, but he wants Ghana destroyed. That's contradictory in terms. Who is interested in the destruction of this country? Seriously speaking. At this stage, you are responding to all the Abidai, and the criticisms are surrounding it. Well, I'm telling you, all the Abidai has been taken out of context. I keep saying. As for the one who's doing propaganda, somebody said, if you give them a sheep, say you give them a cow. That's what it means. So they will magnify anything for deceptive purposes and to let people think that, oh, these are the dirtiest of the four who want to come and rule. So for Christ's sake, nobody in NPP is endorsing violence. Nobody. But would you also say, sitting here in this studio, a gentleman, a decent person, you met somebody on the roadside trying to take your Mercedes-Benz car, there were two policemen standing there, and they pretended nothing was happening, and they were being manhandled. Is that the rule of law that a professor of law is presiding over? Let's look at it from a perspective that, look, if people are not held by the police, then what Kenneth Agyapong is saying is the obvious. They will defend themselves. So please do not let this be a situation of using a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito. My final question to you will be to ask you whether what your strategy will be tomorrow if charges are preferred against your clients with relation to the treason that we've all heard will be preferred against them. Well, as we are lawyers, the lecturer will tell you our strength is in the law. So I'll stay tonight and look at the laws and plead for bail. If it's treason, I hold a humble view that what they are trying to put together will not approximate to treason. And the judge should see through the mischief and all that and say, look, this can't be treason. And therefore admit him to bail. If you think you have a proper charge, come again. So we'll fight for bail. And also, this member of parliament is going nowhere. I want to underline this. You know, another member of parliament has so much confidence in him that he put himself forward as a surety. You said so, Katie Hammond. Katie Hammond did that. He's not a common criminal. He has enough economic interest in Ghana. He's not living in town. So please, we shouldn't treat him as a common criminal. Give him the opportunity to defend himself if you think that, I mean, he's flouted the law. But treason, I suspect it's not too good. Kisika, I hope to get your final comments, but my question to you is that
Is our democracy under threat? Is there rule of law in Ghana? We've heard all manner of comments in these areas. What do you say to it?
I hope I will not be taken as declaring war. I'm only not a lecturer, I'm also a practitioner. But when it comes to the application of the criminal law, we have a long way to go. He will tell you. I get scared anytime, even as a criminal law lecturer, I have to enter into a criminal court. Because we have totally left what the Constitution says about presumption of innocence. And you have to be proved guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Doesn't apply any longer, I think. Now it's as if we are having, and this is where the declaration of war is. Now it's as if we have presumption of guilt. Now you come and prove that you are innocent. If that were not the case, we would not be having all these charges being thrown about, hoping some will stick. There's one thing I wanted to point out earlier. This offense of treason. I was discussing with my senior colleague before we started this program. It appears that we tinkered with the law somehow, and we have forgotten to provide for a punishment for treason. If you look in the law, it is very interesting.
Because high treason is stated.
If you look in the law, formally when Act 29 was the criminal code, Section 180 dealt with treason. Then the advent of the Constitution. Then in 2004, 5, 6, we had a review, and then we came out with the Criminal Offences Act.
Right.
The PS 180, Section 180 now is dealing with high treason, which refers us to Article 33, which provides the sentence of death.
Death penalty.
But when you go to Article 1917, it appears there's no penalty prescribed.
There's no penalty prescribed under 1917.
I admit that traditionally, the sentence for treason is death. But presently, and I stand to be corrected on this one, it appears that we tinkered with the law when we did the Criminal Offences Act 1960, and it's missing. The penalty for treason is missing. Because if you go to Section 180, for instance, it only deals with high treason. So that might also be another thing for the prosecution to think about.
And then when you move over to the next section, and the way it talks about treason, the breakdown is also still talking about high treason.
Yes.
I realize that.
180 is talking about high treason.
Yeah.
180 is titled treason,
That's
but
right.
it is
It's
talking
still
about
talking
high
about
treason,
treason.
and refers you to Article 33.
That's right.
But high treason simpliciter under Article 19.7, it appears we missed out on the penalty for that.
Interesting. Kweku Ogade Safo Nkrumah, we have experienced worse comments than this one, yet people are walking freely in this country.